Portland rain blurred the streetlights into soft halos outside Ryan Mercer's apartment. Inside, the kitchen smelled like toast and cinnamon oatmeal, the kind Mia called science fuel. Mia sat cross-legged at the table with a sheet of blue paper. She folded with fierce attention, pressing each crease with her thumbnail like it mattered. "Captain needs a friend," she said. Ryan poured coffee into a travel mug. Steam curled up and fogged his glasses for a second. "Captain has you? He's an otter. Otters need community." Mia lifted the half-made crane. One wing drooped. She frowned and fixed it. "Also, you need luck today." His phone buzzed on the counter. Hawthorne pitch, 10:00 a.m. Ryan stared at the reminder until the screen dimmed. He packed Mia's lunch with the quiet efficiency of repetition. Crackers, strawberries, a yogurt pouch. Then he wrote a note on a sticky pad, folded it small, and slid it into her lunchbox. "Brave looks good on you." Mia pushed the finished crane toward him. "Put it in your pocket. I can't bring a bird to work." "It's not a bird, it's a contract," she said, serious. "It says you come home." Ryan smiled, but the smile tugged at something tender under his ribs. "Deal." He tucked the crane into the inside pocket of his jacket. The paper made a faint rustle like a page turning. In the hallway mirror, he looked like a man who slept more than he did. Dark hair, clean shirt, tie knotted tight. The kind of guy people expected to have answers. He had learned to move fast without looking frantic. He had not learned how to stop missing his wife at random inconvenient moments. Mia hopped down and wrapped her arms around his waist. She smelled like strawberry shampoo. "Do you have your phone?" she asked. "Yes." "Charger?" "Yes." "Brain?" Ryan kissed her forehead. "I'm loading it." She leaned back, studying him with the same focus she used on paper folds. "If you get nervous, breathe like yoga. In through the nose, out through the mouth." "Quiet dragon," Ryan said. "Exactly. No fire in school." "My been school though." "Sub though." Jenna Park, their babysitter, and next-door neighbor, appeared at the doorframe and knocked. 3 quick taps, polite and practiced. "Morning," Mia waved. "He's doing a big meeting." Jenna's eyes flicked to Ryan. "You okay?" Ryan nodded. He trusted that nod more than any sentence. Downtown Cedar and Cone rose like a wedge of glass near the river. The lobby smelled of marble cleaner and wet coats. Ryan's shoes clicked across the floor. A bowl of peppermint sat on the reception desk. Bright red wrappers against pale stone. The elevator dinged on the 27th floor. Marketing lived up here, along with a view of the Willamette that made the city look calm, even when it wasn't. Talia, his assistant, met him at his desk with printed decks. "Camille wants everyone in the war room in 10, she said. "Gabe is already pacing." "Of course he is," Ryan said, taking the stack. The war room felt like a room holding its breath. Laptops glowed, coffee went cold. Gabe Holloway stood near the window with his hands clasped behind his back, banker neat in a suit that never wrinkled. "We are not improvising today," Gabe said the moment Ryan entered. His eyes locked on Ryan like a warning sign. "No surprises, no hero moves." Ryan set his laptop down. He did not sit. "We're pitching a hospital network. They want something that works. They want predictability," Gabe snapped. "They want to know we will not embarrass them." A chair scraped. Conversations died. Camille Sterling walked in without hurry and without announcement. Cream blouse under a dark blazer. Hair pinned back. She carried nothing in her hands and somehow owned the whole table anyway. "Good morning," she said. Everyone sat. Ryan waited until she looked at him, then lowered himself into his chair. The air felt denser when she focused on a person. Camille's gaze moved over the printed deck. "Hawthorne is not just revenue," she said. "It is credibility. If we win it, we are on the map." Gabe nodded too quickly. Camille turned to Ryan. "I reviewed your alternate concept." Ryan kept his expression neutral. The alternate concept was the one he actually believed in, the one he built late at night after Mia fell asleep. It made patients feel like people. It made data feel like a story. He had titled it Human Pulse, deleted the title, typed it again, then hid the file under a boring name. Camille continued, "It is bold. It is also a risk we do not need. We will not use it." A small wave of relief moved through the room. Ryan felt the paper crane shift in his pocket when he inhaled. Camille placed a pen on the table and tapped it 3 times. Tap, tap, tap. The sound was quiet, but it lined up everyone in the room like a metronome. "We win this by being steady," she said. "We do not win it by being clever." Ryan heard himself answer, "Understood," because that was the safe word. The meeting broke. People scattered with their tasks and their nerves. In the hallway, Camille stopped Ryan with a look. Glass walls reflected them side by side, two versions of control. Her eyes were a pale blue that made it hard to hide anything. "You have good instincts," she said, "but you are not the only person in the room." "I know," Ryan replied. Mama replied. Camille held his gaze a beat longer than necessary. "Do you—" Her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, then at him again. 10 o'clock, conference room B, no detours. She walked away, heels quiet on carpet. Ryan returned to his office and closed the door. Rain slid down the window in thin lines. The river below looked dark and heavy. He opened the safe deck. Crisp charts, conservative promises, the kind of presentation that could not offend anyone, and sometimes could not move anyone either. Then he opened the hidden file. The first slide appeared a simple line rising and falling like a heartbeat. Ryan took Mia's crane from his pocket and set it beside his mouse. One wing leaned slightly forward like it was listening. The clock on his monitor read 9:47. He clicked between the two decks. Safe, real, safe, real. His thumb pressed the edge of the paper crane until it flexed. At 9:58, Ryan dragged the bold deck to the top of the folder. At 9:59, Ryan shut his laptop and stood. The paper crane flashed blue against his desk before he slipped it into his jacket pocket. He walked toward conference room B with the remote cold in his hand. Outside the room, coffee and copier heat hung in the air. Through the glass he could see the long table, the water bottles, the projector glow, waiting on a blank screen. Gabe Holloway hovered near the cables. Camille Sterling sat at the head of the table, still, as stone hands folded, as if they were not capable of shaking. Ryan took a seat 2 chairs down and opened his notebook to a blank page. The Hawthorne team entered in a quiet line, coats damp from the rain. Dr. Lila Hart went first. Silver hair pinned back, eyes steady. Miles Klein from procurement followed, watch catching light when he adjusted his cuff. A communications director and legal counsel trailed behind them with folders held close. Camille rose and greeted them with practiced warmth. Handshakes, names, a few polite sentences, then the room tightened into business. Camille spoke about security compliance timelines. Her voice was measured, confident. Ryan watched the Hawthorne faces. They listened. They did not lean in. Dr. Hart looked once toward the window where rain traced slow lines down the glass. "Our work is structured, so your teams can trust it," Camille said, and the word trust pressed on Ryan's ribs. She turned slightly toward him. "Ryan Mercer leads our marketing and client narrative strategy. He will walk you through how we would bring this partnership to your community." Ryan rose. He felt Camille's earlier instruction in his spine. "We will not use it." "Good morning," he said. He clicked. The safe deck appeared. Clean charts, careful language. He delivered it the way he had rehearsed, bright enough to sound sure. Miles nodded politely. The communications director wrote notes. Dr. Hart's attention stayed half a step away, polite but not invested. Ryan's pocket brushed the crane as he shifted. He pictured Mia pressing a crease with her thumbnail. "You need luck today." He inhaled through his nose, exhaled through his mouth. Quiet dragon. His thumb moved. The screen changed. A single white line rose and fell on black like a heartbeat on a monitor. Silence hit the table. In that gap, Ryan heard the projector fan and his own pulse steady and loud in his ears. Ryan kept his eyes on Dr. Hart. "This is what your patients live with," he said. A rhythm. Waiting. Wondering if someone will explain it in plain words. He clicked again. A real photograph filled the screen. An older woman on a hospital bed, plastic wristband hand resting on her chest. "We call it human pulse," Ryan said, "because healthcare is a pulse. It spikes with fear, it dips with fatigue, it steadies when someone tells the truth." Dr. Hart's gaze sharpened. The communications director stopped writing. Ryan moved in clean steps. Numbers that meant something because they matched human moments. Drop-off points that matched confusion. Call volume that matched anxiety. Messaging written the way people actually spoke when they were scared. Miles leaned forward a few inches. It felt like a door opening. Camille sat very still. Her pen touched the table once, twice, 3 times. Soft taps that barely carried, but Ryan felt them under his skin. Dr. Lila Hart lifted a hand. "My clinics are tired of being sold to," she said. "Why should I trust your story will not turn into another campaign that forgets the patient?" Ryan did not rush. "Because we measure the moments where people disappear," he said. "Not just clicks, not just sign-ups. We build the message with your nurses and front desk staff in the room. If it does not sound like them, it does not ship." Ryan finished on a plain slide with 2 words centered in white. Make it human. He stopped and let the room breathe. Dr. Hart broke the quiet. Who wrote this? I did, Ryan said, with my team, after listening to your community town hall recording. Miles asked, and if our board demands a traditional approach? Then we translate, Ryan said, we do not retreat. Dr. Hart stood when the questions ended. She walked around the table and held out her hand. Ryan took it. Her grip was firm. This is the first pitch today that sounded like a heartbeat, she said. Ryan's throat tightened. Thank you. Dr. Hart turned to Camille. Send a draft scope by tomorrow morning. Include this. Camille's smile returned, controlled, but real enough. You will have it. The Hawthorne team left. The door clicked shut. Gabe turned on Ryan. What the hell was that? He snapped. You went off deck in front of them. Ryan set the remote on the table. I watched them slipping, he said. I gave them a reason to stay. They wanted stability, Gabe said. They wanted to know who is in charge. Camille spoke without raising her voice. Gabe, give us the room. Gabe hesitated, then gathered his papers and left. The door shut again, quieter this time. Camille faced Ryan. Up close, her calm looked like effort. You disobeyed a direct instruction, she said. We needed them, Ryan replied. And I needed my team to move with me, Camille said. Trust is not optional, Ryan. Not with clients. Not inside this building. Ryan felt heat behind his eyes, closer to fear than anger. I did not do it to embarrass you. You did not even look at me first, Camille said. The words hit because they were true. I saw Dr. Hart stop listening, Ryan said. I could not let it happen. Camille held his gaze, breathing even like she was counting. Tomorrow morning, she said, we deliver a scope. Tonight you stay at the Rosebridge Hotel where Hawthorne is staying. If they call you, answer. You do not make decisions alone again. Ryan nodded. Okay. Camille moved toward the door. Her hand paused on the handle. And Ryan, she said. Yes. Her eyes flicked to the faint edge of blue paper at his pocket. Good work in there, she said, as if the words cost her something. Then she left. By late afternoon, the rain had eased into mist. Ryan drove home. Mia met him at the door with Captain the Otter tucked under her arm, hair damp, cheeks pink from a bath. Did you win? She asked. Ryan crouched and hugged her. We did well, he said, and the way she relaxed into his arms made his chest ache. Mia searched his face. That means dinner. Ryan hesitated. Jenna stood in the kitchen already understanding. Ryan lowered his voice. I have to stay downtown tonight. Early meeting. Mia heard enough, her mouth pressed into a line. You promised. Ryan took the crane from his pocket and set it in her palm. This says I come home, he told her. Hold it for me. Mia stared at the paper, then at him. Bring me a story tomorrow, she said. I will, Ryan replied. He kissed her forehead and forced himself to stand. Jenna squeezed his shoulder as he passed. The Rosebridge Hotel lobby smelled like polished wood and citrus. Ryan checked in, took the key card, and rode the elevator up, while the soft ding marked each floor like a count. His room was quiet in a way his apartment never was. Ryan opened his laptop, pulled up the scope template, and began to write. An hour later, his phone lit up on the desk. Camille Sterling. It rang once, stopped. A few minutes later, it rang again. Then again. Ryan watched the screen until it went dark. He did not answer. He did not move. Ryan stared at the dark screen of his phone until it timed out again. The scope template glowed on his laptop, half filled with tidy phrases that did not match the tightness in his chest. Outside the window, Portland's light smeared in the wet. He tried to write. His fingers moved. His mind did not. He saved the file anyway, shut the laptop, and sat back. The quiet pressed in too clean, too empty. At 12:41 a.m., the phone buzzed. A text. Camille, are you awake? Ryan read it twice. He set the phone down like it might burn. He told himself to sleep. He changed into sweatpants and a faded t-shirt, then turned off the lamp. He had just closed his eyes when the knock came. 3 taps. Soft. Even. Precise. Ryan sat up. 3 taps again, the same rhythm. He crossed the room and opened the door. Camille Sterling stood in the dim hallway light with a bottle of red wine and 2 glasses. She wore a simple black dress under a light coat. Her hair was down pale in the corridor glow, a few strands damp against her cheek. Her face looked like she had been holding herself together for hours and had decided to stop pretending for 10 minutes. Can I come in? She asked. Ryan's hand stayed on the knob, bare feet on hotel carpet, a heartbeat in his ears. Yeah, he said, stepping aside. Camille entered. The scent of rain came with her, sharp and clean. She set the bottle and glasses on the small table by the window. Her fingers were steady. Her breathing was not. Ryan shut the door. The click sounded loud. Camille glanced at his laptop bag on the chair, the scope notes on the desk, then back to him. Do you have an opener? In the drawer, Ryan said. He handed her the corkscrew. She opened the wine with practiced ease. The cork gave a soft pop. Camille poured 2 glasses and offered him one. Ryan took it. Their fingers brushed. It was quick nothing and everything. Camille's eyes stayed on his. You went against my direct instruction today, she said. Ryan took a sip. I did. You changed the deck in front of Hawthorne, Camille said. You changed it in front of my team. I got the account, Ryan said. Camille's jaw tightened. You got the account while making me look like I could not manage the room. Ryan set his glass down careful. That is not what I was doing. It is what you did, Camille said. In their eyes, you were brave. I was cautious. They were drifting, Ryan said. Dr. Hart was done. She needed something real. And you decided you would be the only person who could give it to her, Camille said. Ryan held her gaze. I decided we could not lose them. Camille lifted her glass and took a sip. Trust is everything in this business, she said. Not just with clients, between colleagues. Ryan nodded. I know. Camille's mouth curved without humor. Do you? Ryan could have argued. Instead, the truth slipped out. I was scared, he said. Camille's eyes narrowed. Of what? Of losing this job, Ryan said. Because Mia needs stability, because I cannot lose the one place that keeps our life standing. Camille's gaze dropped at the name, then shifted to the window. I am not going to fire you, she said. Ryan's breath caught. Even after today. Especially after today, Camille said. Because you were right. Ryan swallowed. Then why are you here? Camille's fingers tightened around the glass. Because I could not sleep, she said. Because I watched you disregard me, and it felt personal in a way I did not expect. Ryan's pulse jumped. It was not about you. Camille looked at him fully. The CEO mask was thin. That is what scares me, she said. I think it was. She set her glass down and crossed to the window. The city reflected in the glass behind her lights, scattered like broken coins. Camille spoke without turning around. When you clicked to that slide, she said everyone looked at you, like you were the only one steering the room. I was standing right there, and I felt sidelined. Ryan's throat tightened. He took a slow breath. I did not want that. I know, Camille said, and the words came out softer than the rest. That is the problem. I know your intent. I still felt it. Ryan stepped closer, not too close. I should have warned you, he said. Camille turned. Her eyes were bright in a way that had nothing to do with anger. Yes, she said. You should have. Silence settled. The air between them felt charged and careful. Ryan tried to make his voice light. You came to scold me, he said. At 2 a.m. Camille's eyes flicked to his sweatpants. You are not dressed for a scolding. You invited yourself, Ryan said. I did, Camille replied, and her mouth softened into something close to a smile. Camille sat in the desk chair as if standing made her too exposed. Tell me about Mia, she said, sudden and direct. Ryan sat on the edge of the bed. She is 7, he said. New school, new friends. Some days she acts like she is fine. Some nights she climbs into my bed like she is afraid the house will vanish. Camille listened without interrupting. It has been 3 years, Ryan added quieter, since her mom died. Camille swallowed. I am sorry, she said. Not polished, not corporate. Ryan nodded. That is why today mattered, he said. Hawthorne is health insurance and groceries and tuition. It is my kid sleeping without me worrying every hour. Camille's expression changed. Something in her eyes softened, then steadied. My father built Cedar and Cone like it was the only thing that mattered, Camille said. He missed birthdays. He missed dinners. He missed my mother until she stopped waiting. Ryan stayed still. My mother left when I was 16, Camille continued. She said she was tired of being second to a company. I told myself I would never become him. A quiet laugh bitter at the edges. Then I took his chair. Ryan leaned forward slightly. You do not have to repeat him, he said. Camille's eyes lifted. You do not get to say that. Why not? Because you do not know how heavy it is, Camille said. The board, the name. Every mistake feels like proof I do not belong. Ryan did not look away. You belong, he said. Camille held his gaze. For a long beat she did not move. Then she looked down as if the words had landed too close. She shifted the subject with a small breath. You laughed with Dr. Hart today, she said. You looked fearless. I was afraid, Ryan said. I just did not want them to see it. Camille's mouth curved. So you fake it. Sometimes, Ryan admitted. Do you? Camille's answer came fast, every day. The honesty warmed the room more than the wine. They talked a little after that, still cautious, but less guarded. Camille admitted she hated the kind of corporate language that sounded clever and meant nothing. Ryan told her he avoided most business podcasts because they made him feel like he was being sold something. For the first time all day, Camille laughed a short sound that surprised her as much as him. Ryan exhaled and tried again for lightness. "You are doing a terrible job reprimanding me." Camille looked at him over the rim of her glass. "Maybe that is not why I came," she said. Ryan's throat went tight. "Then why did you—" Camille opened her mouth. Her phone buzzed in her coat pocket, and she ignored it. She tried again. Ryan's phone rang, a sharper tone, the one he reserved for one number. "Jenna." He answered so fast his fingers slipped. "Jenna." Her words came through in a rush. Ryan's face tightened, the color drained from his cheeks. "I am coming," he said. "I am coming right now." He ended the call and stood moving on instinct toward his suitcase. Camille rose immediately. "What is it?" "Mia has a fever," Ryan said, already grabbing his hoodie. His voice went clipped, controlled. It spiked. "She is asking for me." Camille reached for her coat. "We are going," she said. Ryan paused with the zipper half up. "You do not have to." "I know," Camille replied. Her voice stayed steady. Her eyes did not. "Put your shoes on." Ryan swallowed and nodded once. Camille glanced at the bottle of wine on the table and left it there. Ryan grabbed his wallet and keys. He opened the door. The hallway air hit them cool and dry. Their footsteps sank into the carpet. The elevator waited at the end of the corridor. Ryan pressed the button. When the door slid open, the soft ding sounded like a count. Ryan stepped into the elevator with Camille beside him. The doors closed on the quiet hallway, and the cab began to drop. The soft ding at each floor felt like a pulse counting down. Ryan stared at the numbers as if watching them could make time behave. Camille stood with her hands clasped in front of her. Her face was composed, but her eyes kept flicking to his phone like she expected it to ring again. Ryan unlocked it and called Jenna back the second he had signal. "Tell me her temperature," he said. Jenna's voice came through thin and tight. 103.6. I gave her the children's acetaminophen. She threw up once. She keeps asking where you are. Ryan pressed his fingertips to his forehead. "Is she breathing okay?" "Yes," Jenna said. "She's just miserable." "Keep her sitting up," Ryan said. Small sips of water. "I'm 10 minutes out." Camille watched his mouth as he spoke, as if the shape of the words mattered. When he ended the call, she asked, "Does she have any breathing issues?" "Wheezing rash." "No rash," Ryan said. "She gets fevers fast. It's happened before." Camille nodded once, filing the facts away. "Do you have a pediatrician on call?" "I do," Ryan said. "I can call after I see her." The doors opened into the lobby. The warm smell of citrus cleaner and wet wool hit them. Ryan moved fast through the marble space, his keycard still in his pocket, from checking the stupid little rectangle, suddenly useless. Outside, the air was cold and damp rain, hanging like a curtain that had not decided to fall. Cars hissed over slick streets. Camille lifted a hand, and a rideshare pulled to the curb as if she had summoned it. They slid into the back seat. The driver glanced at them in the mirror, then back to the road. The car smelled faintly of air freshener and old coffee. Ryan's knee bounced. He tried to stop it. It started again. Camille reached across the narrow space and placed her hand over his. She did not squeeze. She just held it there, steady, an anchor placed without asking permission. Ryan looked at their hands. His first instinct was to pull away, not because he did not want it, but because it felt dangerous to need it. He let it stay. Streetlights streaked past. The city looked softer at night, edges blurred by rain. Ryan watched the reflections on the pavement, red and white and gold, sliding under the tires like liquid. "I left the wine," Camille said quietly. Ryan let out a breath that sounded like a laugh, but was not. "Good call." Camille's thumb moved once against the side of his hand, a small motion that said more than comfort. It said, "I am here." Ryan swallowed. His mouth tasted like cold metal. They turned into his neighborhood, quieter streets, darker trees. The apartment building was a modest brick rectangle with a small awning over the entrance. A porch light flickered stubborn against the mist. Ryan was out of the car before it fully stopped. Camille followed coat-pulled tight heels, making soft taps on the wet sidewalk. Her shoes were not built for this street. She did not seem to care. Jenna opened the building door before Ryan could unlock it. Her hair was tied up messily, face bare and worried. She stepped aside, eyes on him. "She's on the couch," Jenna said. "I tried to keep her comfortable." Ryan nodded, already moving. The apartment smelled like chamomile tea and the faint sweet scent of strawberry shampoo. The living room lamp was on. Mia lay under a blanket on the couch, cheeks flushed, hair damp along her forehead. Captain the Otter was tucked under her arm like a lifeline. When Ryan knelt beside her, Mia's eyes opened. They were glassy, unfocused for a second, then they locked onto him with relief so sharp it hurt. "Daddy," she croaked. "I'm here," Ryan said, voice low. He smoothed her hair back, careful. Her skin was hot, almost startling through his fingertips. "I'm right here." Mia's hand reached for his shirt and gripped it. "My head feels like a drum." "I know," Ryan said. "We're going to fix it." Camille stood just inside the doorway, half in shadow. She looked smaller here, out of her role reduced to a woman in a coat, watching a little girl burn with fever. Her eyes softened, in a way Ryan had never seen in the office. Mia's gaze drifted past Ryan's shoulder. She blinked at Camille. "Who's that?" Ryan hesitated, the words suddenly important. "This is Camille," he said. "She works with me." Camille took one careful step forward and stopped at a respectful distance. "Hi, Mia," she said. Mia stared at her hair, pale against the dark room. "You look like Elsa," Mia whispered, then winced as if even whispering hurt. Camille's mouth curved gentle. "I'll take that," she said. Mia's eyes narrowed with effort. "Do you have ice powers?" "I don't," Camille said, "but I can get you a cold washcloth." Mia considered this, then gave a tiny nod like she was granting a contract. Camille looked at Jenna. "Where's your bathroom?" Jenna pointed down the hall. Camille went without waiting for permission, moving with quiet purpose, not rushing, not hovering. Ryan heard the faucet run. Jenna crouched near Ryan. "I'm sorry," she said. "You did fine," Ryan replied. He kept his hand on Mia's forehead. "You did great." Jenna's eyes flicked to Camille. "Is that your boss?" Ryan did not answer right away. "Yes," he said finally. Jenna's eyebrows lifted, but she did not comment. She stood and went to the kitchen, giving space without making it a spectacle. Mia's breathing was fast. Ryan listened to it, counting without meaning to. Camille returned with a washcloth dripping cold water. She wrung it out carefully, then held it out to Ryan. He took it and laid it across Mia's forehead. Mia sighed, a small sound that loosened something in Ryan's chest. "Better?" he asked. "A little," Mia murmured. Her fingers loosened on his shirt. Camille looked at the medicine bottle on the coffee table. "When was the last dose?" she asked. Ryan glanced at Jenna. Jenna answered, "An hour ago." Camille nodded. "We should alternate with ibuprofen if she can keep it down. If she vomits again, we call." Ryan looked up at Camille, surprised by how certain she sounded. She met his gaze and did not flinch. "Do you want me to call the nurse line?" Camille asked. "I can," Ryan said, but his voice cracked on the word. Camille reached into her coat pocket and pulled out her phone. "Tell me the clinic name," she said. Ryan told her. Camille dialed. She spoke to the on-call nurse with clear, concise answers. Temperature, symptoms, medication timing, no rash, normal breathing. The nurse's voice was not audible to Ryan, but he saw Camille's expression shift at certain points, absorbing, adjusting. When she hung up, she said, "They want you to monitor. If she gets worse or the fever doesn't come down, we go in." Ryan nodded. He felt like he had been holding his breath for hours. Mia opened her eyes again and stared at Camille. "Are you a doctor?" she asked. Camille crouched slightly, so she was closer to Mia's level. "No," she said. "I run a company." Mia frowned. "Do you run like outside?" Camille's laugh was quiet, genuine. "Not very well," she admitted. Mia's mouth twitched. "Daddy runs fast when I'm sick." Ryan pressed his lips together. He stroked Mia's hair again, careful not to touch the damp strands too much. Jenna came back from the kitchen holding a mug of tea. She set it near Ryan. "I made you chamomile," she said. "Thank you," Ryan whispered. He did not drink it yet. He did not want to move. Camille stood near the coffee table, hands at her sides. She looked around the room, the framed photo on the shelf, Mia's drawings on the refrigerator visible from the couch, a small stack of library books, a paper crane perched on the windowsill like it had been forgotten mid-flight. Ryan followed her gaze and felt an old ache tug, a life built from small routines and stubborn love. Mia's eyelids drooped, her breathing slowed a fraction. The washcloth had warmed. Ryan stood carefully and went to rinse it in the kitchen sink. Camille followed him into the kitchen. The overhead light was too bright after the living room lamp. The counter was cluttered with cereal boxes and school permission slips. A single pink sock sat on a chair like it had given up. Camille spoke quietly so Mia would not hear. "Do you want me to leave?" Ryan turned off the faucet and wrung out the cloth. Water ran down his wrists. "You don't have to stay," he said. Camille's eyes held his. "I know," she replied. The space between them felt different here than in the hotel room. No wine, no polished view, just a sink, a wet cloth, and the reality of a child's fever. Ryan's voice dropped. "Why did you come with me?" Camille's answer was simple. "Because you looked like you were about to fall apart," she said, "and I didn't want you to do it alone." Ryan swallowed hard. He stared at the water dripping from the cloth. For a second, he could not trust his mouth. Camille reached past him and opened a cabinet without asking. She took out a clean towel and set it on the counter. Not a grand gesture, just competence offered. Ryan carried the cold cloth back to the couch. Mia was half asleep, Captain tucked under her chin. Ryan pressed the cloth to her forehead again and watched her relax. Jenna gathered her things quietly, checking the time. She approached Ryan and spoke low. "I can stay if you need," she said. Ryan shook his head. "I've got her," he replied. Jenna glanced at Camille again, then back to Ryan. "Call me if you need anything," she said, "even if it's stupid late." "It won't be stupid," Ryan said. "Thanks, Jenna." Jenna left with a soft click of the door. The apartment settled into a hush. Only the fridge hum and the faint rush of cars outside. Mia's breaths were still quick but less frantic. Ryan sat on the floor beside the couch, back against the cushion, eyes fixed on her face. Camille sat in the armchair across the room. She did not pick up her phone. She did not pretend she belonged here. She simply stayed quiet as a shadow that cared. After a while, Ryan realized his own shoulders had dropped, his jaw unclenched. Mia shifted and opened her eyes. "Daddy," she whispered. "I'm here," Ryan said. Ryan said. Mia's gaze drifted toward Camille again. Is she going to get in trouble for being here? Ryan blinked. Why would she get in trouble? Mia swallowed. "Teachers get in trouble if they break rules," she said, voice thick with sleep. Camille leaned forward slightly. "I won't get in trouble," she said, "and your dad isn't in trouble either." Mia stared at her a moment longer. "Okay," she murmured, as if that settled it. Her eyelids fell shut again. Camille's eyes met Ryan's across the room. Something unspoken moved between them, not romantic, not yet, but intimate in a quieter way. A shared worry. A shared room at 1 a.m. Ryan cleared his throat. "Thank you," he said, the words too small for what he meant. Camille nodded once. "Of course," she replied. Time passed in small increments. The washcloth warmed. Ryan changed it. Mia's fever began to ease barely, but enough that her breathing slowed and her face looked less tight. Camille stood pulling her coat closer. "I should go," she said softly. Ryan rose slowly, joints stiff. He walked her to the door. In the entryway, the building hallway light spilled in, turning Camille's hair almost white. She looked at him, then down the hall, then back. Ryan wanted to say something that fit the night. Something that matched the way she had crossed a line she did not have to cross. Something that acknowledged the tension between them without turning it into a mistake. His mouth opened. Nothing came. Camille stepped closer just enough that Ryan could smell rain on her coat and the faint trace of the wine she never drank. Her hand lifted, hovering near his arm, then settled lightly, a brief touch, careful and warm. "Call me if she gets worse," Camille said. "I will," Ryan answered. Camille nodded. She turned toward the hallway. Before she walked away, she paused and looked back once. Not long, just a glance that landed and stayed. Then she left. Ryan shut the door and rested his forehead against it for a second. The quiet returned, thicker now, but it did not feel empty the way the hotel room had. It felt occupied by the shape of something that had happened. He went back to the living room and sat beside Mia again. Her hand found his sleeve in her sleep and held on. Ryan watched her chest rise and fall, slow, steady. On the coffee table, Captain stared up at the ceiling with stitched eyes. Beside him, a blue paper crane sat where Mia must have placed it earlier, its creases sharp, its wings slightly lifted, as if it had been waiting for him to notice. 3 mornings later, the apartment smelled like orange peel and disinfectant wipes, the kind of clean that meant someone had been worried. Mia sat upright at the table in her pajamas, hair-brushed cheeks still a little pale. She was working on a new crane with careful hands. The fever had left her slow, but it had not touched her focus. Ryan watched her for a moment with his coffee cooling in his mug. Her breathing was even. No glassy eyes, no heat pouring off her skin. The quiet in his chest did not feel like relief yet. It felt like the first unclenched finger. "Do I look normal?" Mia asked without looking up. "You look like you're plotting," Ryan said. "I am," she replied. "Captain needs a nurse." Ryan smiled and reached for her lunchbox. He packed it the same way as always, like routine could bolt the world to the floor. Crackers, strawberries, yogurt. A new sticky note folded small and tucked inside. Mia pushed a fresh crane toward him. "This one is for the building," she said. "The building in?" Ryan asked. "So it stops being mean and making you stay away at night," she said, as if his office tower had opinions. Ryan swallowed. "I'll put it somewhere safe." Mia watched him closely. "Did Elsa stay with you?" Ryan froze for half a second, then recovered. "Camille helped," he said. "She made phone calls. She brought a cold cloth. She was kind." Mia nodded once, satisfied. "Kind is good." Jenna arrived with 3 quick taps on the doorframe, the familiar rhythm that made Ryan's shoulders drop. She stepped in with a tote bag and a careful look. How's our patient, Jenna asked. Mia sat taller. I lived, she announced. Jenna grinned. I see that. Ryan walked Mia to the elevator and waited until the doors closed. Mia pressed her palm against the glass as it slid shut, then vanished with a small wave. When Ryan returned upstairs to grab his laptop, his phone buzzed with a work notification. Hawthorne wanted the scope draft by noon. Talia had attached a calendar invite with 3 names on it: Camille Sterling, Gabe Holloway, board chair Evelyn Crane. Ryan stared at the invite long enough for the screen to dim. On the way downtown, Portland looked rinsed clean. The rain had taken a break, leaving the sidewalks dark and shining. Ryan parked, walked the last blocks, and entered Cedar & Company with his shoulders squared. The lobby smelled like espresso and wet wool. The receptionist nodded, eyes brighter than usual. Big week, she said. Ryan answered with a polite smile and took the elevator up. The 27th floor was loud in the way success made a place loud. People walked faster. They spoke with more certainty. Ryan passed 2 junior analysts who stopped talking when he came close, then started again with lowered voices. He caught a few words. Pulse, Hawthorne, bold. He reached his office, shut the door, and opened the scope template. He worked until the words stopped being English and became shapes. Around 10, a small package appeared on his desk. No return address on the outside, just his name in neat handwriting. Talia's head popped in. This came up with the mail, she said. No clue. It's not ticking. Good to know, Ryan replied. Talia smiled. Also, Hawthorne's comms director asked for your direct line. She said, and I quote, "You sound like you've met a real patient." Ryan exhaled, half laugh, half tension. Send her through. Talia left. Ryan opened the package. Inside was a children's book with a glossy cover. The Bridge That Learned to Hold. A slim box of colored pencils sat beneath it, arranged like a little toolkit. There was a note on thick white paper. For Mia. She seems like the kind of kid who fixes corners. See. Ryan read it twice. He touched the paper, then closed the book gently, as if the sound might break something. He was still staring at the note when 3 taps came at his office door. Tap, tap, tap. Ryan looked up. Come in. Camille Sterling stepped inside. She wore a tailored white suit that made her look like she belonged on a magazine cover. Hair pinned back, face composed. The same Camille who had held a cold cloth in his kitchen at 1 a.m, standing under bright light beside a sink full of water. She closed the door behind her. How's Mia, she asked. Ryan cleared his throat. Back at school, he said. Still dramatic, but in a healthy way. Camille's shoulders eased a fraction. Good. Ryan lifted the book. This was you. Camille nodded. I asked a bookstore clerk what kind of book a stubborn 7-year-old would like. She's gonna love it, Ryan said, and he meant more than the book. Camille's gaze moved across his desk. Scope drafts, call notes, a printed agenda for the board meeting. Her eyes lingered on the small blue paper crane Ryan had placed beside his keyboard, a quiet thing that looked out of place among spreadsheets. You kept that, she said. It showed up, Ryan replied. Camille sat in the chair across from him. She did not cross her legs. She held her hands on her knees like she was anchoring herself. Ryan, she said about the other night. Ryan's stomach tightened. He chose the safest angle, the angle that kept doors closed. It was a rough night, he said. We were both exhausted. Camille's eyes held his steady and unblinking. I did not come to your hotel because I was exhausted, she said. Ryan's breath caught. He stared at the corner of the book instead of her face. Camille's voice lowered, controlled but honest. I came because I could not stop thinking about you. Ryan's mouth went dry. He forced himself to look up. Camille continued, not as my marketing director, not as a problem to solve, as a man. The air in the room shifted. The building sounds outside the door dulled, as if the hallway had stepped away. Ryan swallowed. Camille, he said, and his voice came out rough. There are 1,000 reasons this is complicated. I know, she replied at once. The company, the board, your daughter, the fact that I signed your bonus. Ryan flinched at the last one, not because it was untrue, but because she said it first. Camille watched his reaction and softened her tone. That is why we have to handle it clean, she said. Ryan leaned back in his chair. His pulse beat in his throat. What does clean look like? He asked, even as he knew. Camille took a breath. We disclose to HR, she said. We document it. I recuse myself from decisions that impact you directly. Compensation, promotion, discipline, assignments tied to your role. Gabe can sign off where needed. The board chair will be informed through proper channels. Ryan's jaw tightened. That sounds like a spotlight. It is a flashlight, Camille said. It keeps us from doing anything that can be twisted. Ryan looked down at the crane. Its wings were sharp, precise, like Mia's creases, like 3 taps on a door. What about your reputation, Ryan asked. Camille's mouth curved slightly, but there was no humor in it. People already have opinions about me, she said. Let them have one more. Ryan shook his head once. You do not get to take all the heat, he said. Camille's eyes flicked to his. I am not offering martyrdom, she replied. I am offering structure. Ryan stared at her hands. No rings, neat nails, a faint indentation on her finger from holding a pen too long. He remembered those hands steady on his in the ride share. The same steadiness now in a different room with different stakes. He said, I do not want Mia pulled into gossip. Camille's face softened. Neither do I, she said, which is why we keep her out of the building. We keep her out of photos. We keep her out of anyone's mouth. Ryan let out a slow breath. And us, he said. What are we calling it? Camille's eyes held his. A relationship, she said. Or we stop pretending it is not becoming one. Ryan's chest tightened. He wanted to deny it. He wanted to control it. He wanted to be brave and careful at the same time. He nodded once. Okay, he said. Camille's shoulders dropped slightly, the smallest sign of relief. Thank you, she said, and it sounded like she meant more than paperwork. Ryan glanced at the calendar invite on his screen. Gabe and Evelyn are on the scope call, he said. They will be, Camille replied. Hawthorne is too big for anyone to treat as a private victory. Ryan hesitated. Did you tell Gabe about your visit to my apartment? He asked. Camille's gaze sharpened. No, she said, and no one needs to know. Mia was sick. That is the only fact that matters. Ryan nodded, but his stomach stayed tight. Camille's phone vibrated on the desk. She did not pick it up right away. The vibration came again, a third time impatient. She glanced down at the screen. A name flashed that Ryan recognized from the board roster. Camille's expression stayed composed, but something behind her eyes cooled. I have to take this, she said quietly. Ryan nodded. Camille stood smoothing her jacket, once a reflex. Before she opened the door, she paused. I meant what I said, she told him, voice low, about doing this clean. Ryan met her gaze. So did I, he replied. Camille opened the door and left. Ryan sat alone for a long moment, listening to the office sounds return. Phones, footsteps, a distant laugh. His screen still held the scope draft. His desk held a children's book that smelled faintly of fresh ink. He picked up the note again and ran his thumb along the edge. At noon, the scope call began. Camille's voice was crisp and professional. Gabe asked pointed questions about cost and liability. Evelyn Crane said little, but when she did, it landed like a judge's gavel. Ryan answered cleanly. He stayed in his lane. He did not look for Camille on the video grid unless he had to. When the call ended, he realized his shoulders ached from being held too tight. His inbox refreshed. A new message appeared at the top. No sender name, only an address made of random letters and numbers. Subject line Rosebridge. Ryan's hand went still on the mouse. He clicked. The email contained one line of text. Nice suit for a late night. Below it was an image attachment. Grainy, crooked, a hallway light, a woman's pale hair, a black dress, a bottle in her hand. The timestamp in the corner read 2:07 a.m. Ryan's throat went dry. He stared at the screen until the pixels blurred, then glanced at his office door as if he could hear 3 taps coming through the wall. Ryan kept the email open until his eyes felt gritty. He did not reply. He printed it because paper could be locked in a drawer. The printer spit out the grainy photo and the timestamp. 2:07 a.m., Rosebridge. He folded the page into a manila folder and walked to the executive suite. Camille's assistant tried to stop him with a polite smile. Ryan held up the folder. It's urgent, he said. Camille's voice came through the door. Let him in. Ryan knocked. Tap, tap, tap. Close it, Camille said as soon as he stepped inside. He did then set the folder on her desk and slid the printout toward her. The photo lay between them like a bruise. Camille read the line once. Her eyes moved to the timestamp. Her face stayed calm, but her fingers tightened. Anonymous, Ryan said, right after the scope call. Camille exhaled slowly. We do not respond, she said. Ryan leaned forward. Then what? We take away their secret, Camille replied. We disclose to HR. Today. Ryan's stomach dropped. And the board. Proper channel, Camille said. Not a hallway photo. Ryan studied her, searching for fear. He found focus. You're not mad, he said. I'm furious, she answered, voice quiet. Not at you. At whoever thinks they can threaten us. They walked to human resources separately, close enough to share the same air, far enough to look ordinary. A woman with kind eyes introduced herself. Marisol Bennett, come in. Camille spoke first. Ryan Mercer and I are entering a consensual relationship. We are disclosing immediately. I will recuse myself from decisions that directly affect his role. Marisol's pen moved fast. Thank you for coming in early, she said. We will create a management plan. Recusal covers reviews, compensation promotions, discipline, and assignments tied to his reporting line. A neutral executive signs off. Gabe Holloway, Camille said. Marisol nodded. Workplace boundaries apply. No closed-door meetings without a documented business purpose. If concerns arise, you come back to me. Ryan forced his voice steady. We want it handled clean. Marisol glanced at the printed email Camille placed on the desk. And this. Camille's gaze hardened. Document it, she said. Marisol read the timestamp, then set the page down carefully. I will coordinate with security and IT, she said. If anyone contacts either of you, you tell me. When they left, Ryan felt the building's eyes on him, even though nothing had changed. People still walked with laptops. Phones still rang. The air still smelled like coffee and carpet glue. He still felt exposed. In the hallway by a window, Camille finally looked at him without the office mask. I'm sorry it landed on you, she said. Ryan shook his head once. It landed on us. Camille held his gaze. Yes, she replied. Ryan's phone buzzed. A photo from Jenna filled the screen. Mia smiling, Captain tucked under her chin, hot chocolate foam on her lip. The caption read, She called me a villain for saying no to sprinkles. Ryan exhaled and showed Camille. Prunius de sur. Camille's mouth softened. She looks better. She is, Ryan said. After a beat he added, You wanted to meet her. Camille nodded. Somewhere she feels safe. Saturday market by the river, Ryan said. No suits, no titles. Agreed, Camille replied. That night Ryan read Mia the new book that had arrived for her. Mia traced the picture of a bridge with her finger, then pressed a paper crane into his palm. For your pocket, she said, so you come home. By Friday the office felt sharp around the edges. Congratulations came too bright, smiles too quick. At 6:18 p.m., Ryan's phone buzzed. Italian. He stared at the single word, then typed back. Yes. The restaurant was small brick walls and candlelight, the smell of garlic and basil. Camille arrived in jeans and a plain blouse, hair pulled into a ponytail. She paused at the door like she was listening for a rule. Ryan stood. You look different. Different good, Camille asked. Different. Like you can breathe, Ryan said. She sat and set her phone face down. I haven't done this in a long time, she admitted. Eat pasta, Ryan said. Talk to someone who isn't trying to win a vote. Camille let out a quiet laugh. You make it sound easy. It's simple, Ryan replied. Not easy, simple. Over dinner, the tension loosened inch by inch. Candlelight warmed the planes of Camille's face. Ryan noticed she kept her shoulders lower than he had ever seen at work. Tell me something no one at Cedar & Co. knows about you, Camille said. I write bedtime stories, Ryan answered. Dragon's Otter's ridiculous heroes, all for Mia. Camille's eyes softened. That's unexpectedly gentle. You expected spreadsheets, Ryan said. I expected a secret motorcycle, she replied. Ryan laughed. No motorcycle. He leaned forward. Your turn. Camille's fingers traced the rim of her glass. I wanted to design bridges, she said quietly. Real ones. Things that hold people up. Then my father got sick, and the company became my responsibility. Ryan held her gaze. You don't have to hold it alone. Camille's throat moved as she swallowed. That sounds like an offer. It is, Ryan said. Outside the air was cold and clean. Ryan reached for her hand and held it steady. Camille did not pull away. Thank you, Camille said. For what, Ryan asked. For not asking me to be impressive, she replied. For letting me be a person. Saturday came with low clouds and a thin wind off the river. The market smelled like roasted nuts and wet wool. A guitarist played under a striped canopy. Mia spotted Camille first and stopped short yellow raincoat bright against the gray. Captain was tucked under her arm. Ryan walked up slowly. Mia, this is Camille. Camille crouched a little, lowering herself to Mia's height without rushing. Hi, she said. I brought pastries. Mia stared at her hair, then the bag. Are you Elsa? No ice powers, Camille said, but I fold paper very badly. Show me, Mia demanded. Camille tried with a napkin. The corners went crooked. Mia took it and fixed the creases with sharp thumbs. You have to press harder, Mia instructed. Yes, ma'am, Camille said. Sipik said. Blah. Mia held out Captain. He's nervous. Hold him. Camille accepted the otter with both hands careful. Hello, Captain, she said. Mia nodded once, satisfied. Mia chose a pastry and bit into it like she had earned it. Sugar flaked onto her lip. Camille pulled a tissue from her pocket, then hesitated, eyes flicking to Ryan as if asking permission without words. Mia watched Camille like a scientist watching a new experiment. After a second, she leaned forward and let Camille wipe the sugar away. Camille's hand was gentle, quick, and then she retreated, giving space again. Mia chewed, thinking. "You're not scary," she said at last. Camille blinked. "I'm not," she replied, voice careful. Mia nodded, satisfied with her own conclusion, then grabbed Ryan's hand and tugged him toward a honey stall. "We need the cinnamon one," she declared. They walked through stalls of apples and jars of jam. Mia talked about science class and how the heart was a muscle that worked even while you slept. Camille asked questions like she meant them, and Mia answered with the confidence of a person who had never met a bored. At the edge of the market, a man offered newspapers. Camille took one and folded it under her arm without reading. Her phone buzzed. She glanced down. Her expression tightened, then smoothed into calm. Ryan noticed the corner of the newspaper, one bold word visible before Camille tucked it closer. Cedar. Camille looked up at Ryan, face composed. "Let's get her the honey," she said. Ryan nodded and they moved with the crowd. The crowd at the market thickened near the river walk. Rain held off, but the air stayed wet, the kind that clung to coats and hair. Mia bounced between stalls like her body had stored up motion during the fever and was spending it all now. Ryan walked beside her with a paper bag of honey jars and a warm pastry tucked under his arm. Camille kept pace on Mia's other side, careful not to crowd her close enough to catch her if she slipped. At the edge of the market, a gust lifted the corner of the newspaper under Camille's arm. Ryan saw the headline in bold, two words that made Camille's shoulders tighten. Marrow Capital. Camille tucked the paper closer and lifted her chin as if the wind had offended her. Mia pointed at a stand full of glass ornaments. "Those look like tiny planets," she said. "They do," Camille replied, voice steady, but her eyes drifted toward her phone again. Ryan watched her thumb hover over the screen without tapping. He did not ask in front of Mia. He simply shifted closer until their sleeves brushed a small contact that said he had noticed. Camille glanced at him, a quick look that held a silent request. Not now. Ryan nodded once. They bought Mia a small glass heart filled with glitter. Mia held it up to the light and smiled when it flashed. "That's my heart," she announced. Ryan laughed. "Your heart is not full of glitter." "It could be," Mia said, serious. "If you eat enough sugar." Camille's laugh came out soft and surprised, then faded as her phone buzzed again. She finally checked it just a glance. The color drained from her mouth. She locked the screen and slid the phone into her pocket. "Everything okay?" Ryan asked quietly. Camille looked at Mia, then back at Ryan. "Work," she said. One word tight. Mia tugged Ryan's hand. "Can we go home now?" she asked. "Captain needs a nap." Ryan nodded. "Yeah, let's head out." Camille walked them to their car. She knelt to Mia's level and adjusted Mia's raincoat zipper with careful fingers. "Thank you for teaching me paper cranes," Camille said. Mia squinted at her like she was deciding something. "You still need practice," Mia replied. Camille nodded. "I do." Mia held up the glitter heart. "You can borrow my heart if you need it," she said, then yawned hard. Camille's eyes warmed. "I will remember that," she said. Ryan opened the car door for Mia and buckled her in. When he turned back, Camille was already stepping away, her phone in her hand, now her expression sealed. "Camille," Ryan called softly. She paused. "I have to take this," she said and lifted the phone to her ear as she walked toward her own car. Ryan watched her go, then climbed into his car and drove home with Mia humming to herself in the back seat. That evening, Mia fell asleep early, Captain tucked under her chin, the glitter heart perched on her nightstand like a tiny lamp. Ryan stood in the doorway a moment, listening to her breathing. Steady, even. He closed the door and checked his own phone. 3 missed calls, all from Gabe Holloway. A 4th call came in as he stared at the screen. Ryan answered. "Gabe? Are you with Camille?" Gabe asked. No greeting, no softness. "No," Ryan said. "I'm home." "Good," Gabe replied. "Stay there. Do not call her. She's in emergency meetings." "What happened?" Ryan asked. Gabe exhaled a sharp sound. "Marrow Capital filed today. They're in. They're loud. They're pushing for control." Ryan's mouth went dry. "How much do they have?" "Enough to make noise and convince skittish people," Gabe said. "And they're already implying leadership risk." Ryan swallowed. "Leadership risk. You know what that means," Gabe said. "I'm telling you as a courtesy. Keep your head down." The call ended. Ryan stood in his kitchen with the lights off, the city glow leaking through blinds. The hum of the refrigerator sounded too loud. He did not call Camille. He texted instead, one line. "If you need anything, I'm here." He sent it and set the phone down. On Monday morning, Cedar & Co. felt different the moment Ryan walked in. The lobby screens were tuned to financial news. A photo of the building filled the display glass and steel looking pristine. A scrolling line of text beneath it talked about activist investors and strategic alternatives. The elevator dinged on the 27th floor, and the hallway buzzed with clipped voices. People were pretending to be calm. They were failing. Talia met Ryan at his desk, face pale. "War room," now she said. "Board chair is here." Ryan grabbed his notebook and walked fast. In the war room, Gabe stood with legal counsel and the head of security. 2 laptops were open to the same article. Marrow Capital had taken a stake and had issued a public letter. Camille stood at the end of the table. Her posture was perfect. Her eyes looked like she had not slept. Evelyn Crane sat near the head, hands folded, chin lifted. Her gray hair was smooth, her expression carved. When Ryan entered, Evelyn's gaze landed on him and stayed there a fraction too long. Camille spoke first. "Marrow wants a proxy fight," she said. "They want seats. They want control. They will say anything to get it." Legal counsel slid a page forward. "They're framing this as poor governance and stagnant valuation," he said. "They will push for a sale or leadership change." Gabe tapped the table with a knuckle rapid. "They're already calling clients." Camille's voice stayed calm. "We protect Hawthorne. We keep delivery tight. We do not let noise touch execution." Evelyn finally spoke. "Noise becomes leverage when leadership appears compromised," she said. The word compromised hung in the air. Ryan felt Camille's attention shift, not toward him, but toward the shadow his presence created in other people's minds. Camille met Evelyn's gaze. "My leadership is not compromised," she said. Evelyn's mouth did not move much when she replied, "Perception is a currency, Camille. Spend it carefully." Gabe cleared his throat. "We have a press request. They want to comment on internal governance and executive stability." Camille's jaw tightened. "We respond with facts. Nothing else." Evelyn looked to Ryan again. "Mr. Mercer," she said, tone polite and sharp. "You led the Hawthorne pitch." "Yes," Ryan replied. "Congratulations," Evelyn said, as if the word tasted like obligation. "You will ensure Hawthorne hears nothing but confidence." "I will," Ryan said. Evelyn's gaze moved to Camille. "And you," she said, "will ensure your house is in order." Camille did not blink. "It is." The meeting broke into action. Legal drafted statements. Security reviewed access logs. Gabe called finance. Camille took a call from an unknown number and ended it with a quiet, controlled finality. Ryan returned to his office and sat down, but he did not open the scope. He opened a blank document and began to write a message to the marketing team. Short, direct, no drama. "Keep working. Keep client promises. Keep your heads down." He deleted the last phrase and replaced it. "Keep your work clean." He sent it. By noon, rumors moved like weather. Ryan heard his name once in the hallway, not spoken to him, spoken around him. He heard Camille's name more. He heard phrases that made his stomach twist. Conflict, distraction, power. Marisol from HR emailed Ryan and Camille separately with the finalized management plan. It was formal, clinical, necessary. It would protect them and expose them at the same time. Ryan signed and sent it back. In the afternoon, Camille called a leadership meeting. She stood at the front of the room with a slide that showed nothing but a timeline and tasks. She did not mention Marrow's letter. She did not mention gossip. She talked about priorities, execution, and client trust. Her voice filled the room like a wall. Ryan watched the employees. They leaned in, not because of the words alone, but because of the steadiness beneath them. Afterward, in the corridor, Camille walked past Ryan without stopping, her face composed for the cameras that did not exist but could appear at any second. When she reached her office door, she paused and knocked before entering. 3 taps. Ryan did not know if anyone noticed. He noticed. That night, the building stayed lit on the executive floor. Ryan finished a Hawthorne draft at his desk, eyes burning, then checked the time, 10:46 p.m. He stood, grabbed 2 coffees from the empty kitchen, and rode the elevator up. The soft ding felt like counting again. At Camille's door, he tapped 3 times. Tap, tap, tap. A moment, then her voice. "Come in." Camille sat at her desk with papers spread out like a storm. Financial models, legal notes, a printed copy of Marrow's letter marked with red pen. Her hair was down now, slightly tangled, and there were shadows under her eyes she could not control. She looked up when Ryan entered, and for a second the CEO mask slipped, just enough to show fatigue. Ryan set a coffee on her desk. "You forgot to eat," he said. Camille's mouth twitched. "Did I?" she replied. He sat in the chair across from her, careful to keep distance the way the HR plan demanded. Even alone, the rules clung. Camille stared at the coffee as if it were an accusation. "They're coming for me," she said quietly. Ryan kept his voice low. "They're coming for control," he replied. "You're in the way." Camille's eyes lifted. And you, she said, they will use you, if they can. Ryan felt the air tighten. Let them try, he said. Camille shook her head once. No, she said. I will not let you become collateral. Ryan leaned forward a little. I'm not fragile, he said. Camille's gaze flicked to his hands, then back to his face. I know, she said. That's not the point. Ryan wanted to reach across the desk and touch her hand the way she had touched his in the ride share. He did not. He stayed in his chair. He kept his hands to himself. What do you need from me? He asked. Camille exhaled slowly. I need Hawthorne to feel safe, she said. I need employees to feel steady. I need the board to stop smelling fear. Ryan nodded. I can handle Hawthorne, he said. I can handle messaging. Camille's eyes softened, then hardened again as another thought landed. Evelyn is watching everything she said. She's looking for a crack. Ryan said, then don't give her one. Camille's laugh was quiet and humorless. Cracks happen when you're tired, she said. Ryan glanced at the stack of papers. Then sleep, he replied. Camille stared at him, a long look that carried gratitude and frustration in the same breath. You sound like someone who has no board, she said. I have a 7-year-old, Ryan answered. She's worse. Camille's mouth curved just a little, and for a moment the room felt warmer. Then her phone buzzed again, a message then another. Camille read them, and her face closed. Ryan watched her. What is it, he asked. Camille set the phone down careful. They're forcing a special board session, she said. Tomorrow morning. Ryan felt his pulse jump. About you, he asked. Camille met his eyes. About the company, she said. About control. She stood and walked to the window. The river below was dark, reflecting city lights and broken lines. She rested her forehead against the glass for a second, a private motion she did not know Ryan could see. When she turned back, her voice was steady again, but something in her expression had changed. Not fear, decision. Ryan rose. Camille, he said softly. She looked at him, and the room seemed to narrow to the space between their breaths. I have a move, she said. Ryan did not ask for details. He only said, I'm here. Camille held his gaze, then nodded once, as if that was permission she needed. Ryan left her office a few minutes later, with the building quiet around him and the elevator ding counting him down through the floors. Outside, the air was cold and clean. He drove home, checked on Mia sleeping with Captain, and sat at his kitchen table with the lights off. His phone buzzed near midnight. Camille's name lit the screen. Ryan answered on the first ring. Camille, he said. On the other end, her breath came in controlled, measured pulls, like she was holding herself together with sheer will. I need you to listen, she said. Ryan sat at his kitchen table with the lights off, the only glow coming from the hallway, where Mia's nightlight spilled a thin stripe onto the floor. His coffee mug was cold in his hands. I'm listening, he said. They forced a special session, Camille replied. 8 a.m. Marrow wants authorization to explore a sale. They're calling it strategic alternatives. They're selling fear. Ryan swallowed. Evelyn will like anything that sounds clean. She likes certainty, Camille said. Papers shifted on her end, then the faint click of a pen. Tap, tap, tap. Marrow is offering her a shortcut. I'm not taking it. Ryan waited. I have a plan, Camille said. We accelerate Pulse, but we stop treating it like a campaign. We build it as a platform. Hawthorne becomes the flagship, not just a logo on a slide. We lock in long-term value, and we pair it with a defensive move so Marrow cannot force a quick exit. The words were crisp, but her breath was tight. What do you need from me? Ryan asked. I need the story to match the math, she said. I need the board to see why this is not a panic pivot. And I need you to tell me I'm not turning into my father. Ryan looked down the hall toward Mia's door. He pictured Camille in his kitchen, calm hands on a wet cloth, then Camille in a boardroom pen tapping like a metronome. You're not doing it to avoid people, Ryan said. You're doing it to protect them. Silence, then a quiet exhale. Say it again. I believe in you, Ryan said. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. Her voice softened. Thank you. Send me everything, Ryan said. I'll build what you need. They ended the call. Ryan checked on Mia. She slept on her side with Captain tucked under her chin, the glitter heart on her nightstand catching the nightlight and throwing tiny specks onto the wall. Ryan kissed her forehead and went back to the table. He opened his laptop and worked until the words blurred into shape and rhythm. Pulse as product, Hawthorne as proof, trust as the spine. He kept the slides clean, the language plain. No hero moves, just truth that could be measured. Before dawn, he slipped a paper crane into his jacket pocket and drove downtown. Cedar & Co. was quiet at that hour, marble and glass holding its breath. The elevator dinged at each floor, steady and slow. Camille met him outside the war room. No blazer, hair down, a thin sweater that made her look human and tired. Ryan turned the laptop toward her. They read in silence, shoulders nearly touching without touching. Camille stopped on a slide with a patient quote paired with a retention curve. "That's it," she said. "It's the hinge," Ryan replied. Gabe arrived with legal counsel and a face full of dread. "We're on," he said. Evelyn seated. Camille straightened into the CEO mask sliding into place. She looked at Ryan, voice low. "Thank you." Ryan nodded. "Go win." The boardroom was bright and cold. Rain drew straight lines down the windows behind Evelyn Crane. Merrow's representative sat 2 seats down from her, smiling like he already owned the view. Ryan took a seat along the side wall with the other executives. Observers. Quiet. Evelyn tapped her pen 3 times. Tap, tap, tap. The room stilled. Merrow spoke first, numbers dressed up as concern. Underperformance. Opportunity. Leadership risk. He never said Camille's name, but he did not need to. When he sat, Evelyn turned. "Ms. Sterling." Camille rose. "I won't sell Cedar & Co. for a fast premium that leaves clients holding the loss," she said. "And I won't run this company as if trust is a line item." The first slide appeared, a simple heartbeat line on black. Camille spoke in clean blocks. Pulse as a platform, not a slogan. Hawthorne as the anchor. A timeline that showed delivery, not wishful thinking. A defensive move that kept Merrow from forcing a short-term sale. Questions came sharp. Camille answered without heat. Evelyn asked, and the narrative foundation. Camille's eyes flicked briefly toward Ryan, then returned to the table. "My team," she said, "under my direction." Ryan kept his face neutral, but something in his chest loosened. She had not offered him to the wolves. The Merrow representative leaned forward. "This is a gamble." Camille met his gaze. "It's a commitment," she said. Ballots were handed out, pens scratched paper. The staff member collected them in a black folder. Rain tapped the window. Ryan felt his pulse in his throat. Evelyn counted lips moving slightly, then looked up. "The board approves the plan," she said. A breath moved through the room. Camille stayed still, then nodded once as if locking the decision into place. Across the room, Ryan met her eyes. He held the look steady, nothing flashy just there. 3 weeks later, Hawthorne signed. The confirmation email arrived late in the day. The office reacted with a restrained kind of joy, the kind that still checked the hallway before it smiled. That night, Ryan took Camille to the same small Italian restaurant, brick walls and candlelight and basil in the air. Camille wore jeans and a simple coat, the ring on her finger catching the flame when she lifted her glass. "To courage," Ryan said. "To partnerships," Camille replied, and her smile reached her eyes. They ate slowly. They talked about Mia's science class and Captain's imagined career as a nurse. Camille admitted she had tried to fold a paper crane again and had almost thrown it across her kitchen. "I'll show you," Ryan said. "Good," she replied. "I like instructions when they aren't yelled." After dinner, they walked by the river. City lights broke on the water and moved with the current. Camille's hand found Ryan's and stayed there. They stopped where the path grew quiet. "These months," Ryan said, voice low, "have been the happiest I've had in a long time." Camille's breath caught. "Ryan," he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. His other pocket held a flattened paper crane creased from being carried too long. "I'm asking you to be with us," he said. "Me and Mia, all the way." Camille stared at him, as if weighing risk and relief in the same glance. "You know this complicates everything," she said. Ryan smiled small. "Some things are worth the complication." Camille stepped forward and kissed him warm and sure. When she pulled back, her voice shook. "Yes," she whispered. Ryan slid the ring fully into place, then exhaled a sound he did not realize he had been holding for months. The next morning, Mia sat at the table with Captain propped beside her. Ryan sat across from her and tried to speak like a normal person. Mia watched him for a beat, then slid a paper crane across the table. "Tell me," she said. Ryan took a breath. "Camille and I are going to get married," he said. Mia blinked once, then nodded decisive. "Okay, is she coming here?" A knock came at the door. 3 taps light and careful. Ryan opened it. Camille stood there in a simple coat, cheeks pink from the cold, the ring bright on her finger. She looked nervous in a way Ryan had never seen in a boardroom. Mia stepped forward and took Camille's hand without asking. She inspected the ring, then looked up. "So, you said yes," she said. "I did," Camille replied. Mia tugged her toward the table. "Sit," she ordered. "Captain needs to approve you, and if you're family, you have to learn corners." She handed Camille a napkin. Camille folded. Mia corrected the creases with sharp thumbs. Ryan watched them and felt his breathing slow. 2 months later, Ryan stood in a conference room, presenting a Hawthorne progress update. The room smelled of dry erase markers and coffee. Clean numbers climbed on the screen behind him. Camille sat near the side with Gabe, and legal her ring flashing under the overhead lights when she adjusted her notebook. Ryan's phone vibrated in his pocket. He ignored it. It vibrated again. His hand paused on the clicker. He glanced down just enough to see the screen glow through the fabric. MEA's school glowed through the fabric of Ryan's suit pocket. His hand paused on the clicker. The conference room smelled like burnt coffee. The chart on the screen climbed upward neat and reassuring. The phone vibrated again. Ryan's throat tightened. He forced a steady smile. "Excuse me," he said and stepped into the hallway. He answered on the first ring. "Ryan Mercer." "Mr. Mercer, this is Ms. Delgado at Hawthorne Elementary," a woman said, voice too controlled. Mia collapsed during recess. "Paramedics are with her now. They're taking her to Riverbend Medical." The corridor narrowed. Ryan put his palm against the wall, cold paint grounding him. "Is she awake?" he asked. "Yes," Ms. Delgado said. "She's pale and dizzy, but she's talking. She asked for you." "I'm coming," Ryan said. "I'm coming right now." He ended the call and turned. Camille Sterling stood there, coat already in her hand. Her face was composed, but her eyes were wide, sharp with worry. "You don't have to," Ryan started. Camille cut him off gently. "Keys," she said. "We go." They moved fast. The elevator felt too slow, the soft ding at each floor like a cruel count. Ryan stared at the closing doors and tried to breathe like Mia had taught him. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Camille watched him without staring. "Tell me what they said," she asked. "Collapsed," Ryan replied. His voice sounded thin. "Ambulance, Riverbend." Camille nodded once, absorbing the facts, like she was building a map. "Okay," she said. "Just that, okay." Outside, the street was slick with old rain. Camille guided him to her car and started the engine with calm hands. Her ring flashed once when she turned the key. Ryan called the hospital while they drove. "My daughter is coming by ambulance. Mia Mercer, 7. He heard the words pediatric assessment and stable for now. He held on to those words like a railing. The receptionist asked if Mia had any known conditions. "No," Ryan says. The lie felt heavy as soon as he said it, as if the universe could hear. At Riverbend Medical, fluorescent light hit them hard. The emergency entrance smelled of antiseptic and wet coats. Ryan ran to the desk. "My daughter," he said. "Mia Mercer." The receptionist typed, then looked up. "Pediatric assessment," she said. "They'll bring you back." Ryan's hands shook. He shoved them into his pockets and felt paper. A blue crane crushed at the wing. He pulled it out and pressed the crease with his thumb until it sharpened again. The paper did not obey him. He remembered Mia's voice, serious and sure. "It says you come home." Camille's voice was low beside him. "I'm calling pediatric cardiology," she said. "Camille," Ryan whispered. She looked at him. "This is me not standing still," she said, and went back to the call. A nurse appeared. "Mr. Mercer." Ryan followed her through double doors. The hallway beyond was filled with beeps and soft footfalls. Mia lay on a narrow bed, cheeks pale, hair damp at her temples. Captain the Otter was tucked under her arm. Jenna sat nearby, hands clenched, eyes red. "Mia," Ryan said. Her eyes found him. Relief crossed her face, then she winced and brought a hand to her chest. "Daddy," she whispered. Ryan took her hand. It felt cooler than it should. "I'm here," he said, and his voice broke anyway. Jenna stood quickly. "She just went down," she said. 1 second she was running, then she sat, then she slid. She came back fast, but she looked confused. "You did everything right," Ryan said, though the words felt too small. A doctor stepped in, calm and brisk. "I'm Dr. Lin," she said. "Mia, can you tell me your name?" "Mia Mercer," Mia said. "Any pain?" Dr. Lin asked. Mia frowned. "My chest feels funny," she said, like a flutter. Dr. Lin nodded without drama. "We're going to run tests," she said. "An EKG, blood work, and imaging. We need to rule out heart rhythm issues." The phrase heart rhythm made Ryan's stomach drop. Camille stood at the foot of the bed, present but careful. "Hi, Mia," she said softly. Mia blinked at her. "Hi, did I miss science?" "We'll get you back to it," Camille said. "I'll bring you a report." Mia's mouth twitched almost a smile. Then her eyes slid closed again, exhausted. Nurses placed sticky leads on Mia's chest. The monitor came alive, green lines, and a steady beep that made Ryan's own heart feel too loud. Dr. Lin studied the printout. Her eyes narrowed a fraction. She stepped out, then returned a few minutes later. A gentle knock on the curtain pole came 3 quick taps before another doctor entered. Tap, tap, tap. "This is Dr. Sato, Pediatric Cardiology," Dr. Lin said. Dr. Sato nodded at Ryan. "Mr. Mercer, we have findings we need to discuss." Mia went to imaging. Ryan followed until a nurse stopped him at a door marked "Staff Only." He stood there with his hands empty, trying not to imagine every worse thing at once. Camille stood beside him, shoulders squared, phone silent, in her hand. When Mia returned sleepier from medication, Dr. Sato asked to speak privately. They moved into a small consultation room. The air smelled like sanitizer and paper. Dr. Sato pulled up an image on the screen, a heart gray and ghost-like, pulsing in a loop. "Mia has a congenital heart condition," he said, "an anomalous coronary artery. It can reduce blood flow during exertion and trigger fainting." Ryan stared at the image. "She has a heart defect," he said. "Yes," Dr. Sato replied. "It went undetected because she had no symptoms, until now." Ryan's breath came shallow. "What happens now?" he asked. "We monitor her," Dr. Sato said, "and we plan surgical correction. It is complex, but it is treatable. I do not want her running or playing until it is corrected." Ryan pictured Mia on the playground, yellow raincoat flashing. His hands went numb. Camille's voice was steady. "Who would you want operating?" she asked. Dr. Sato answered carefully. "Outcomes are best at specialized pediatric centers. Seattle Children's is strong. Stanford is strong. We can coordinate transfer." The thought of cost rose in Ryan's throat, thick with shame. He saw grocery receipts, rent, school fees, and the thin margin he lived inside. Camille looked at him, once sharp, then back to Dr. Sato. "Start the transfer process," she said. "Also schedule a consult with Dr. Patel at Seattle, tonight." Back in Mia's room, the monitor beeped steadily. Mia slept with Captain pressed to her cheek. Ryan sat in the plastic chair and watched her breathe, counting without meaning to. Camille stood near the window phone to her ear. "I need pediatric cardiac surgery," she said. "Urgent. I need Dr. Patel on consult. I will handle logistics." She stepped into the hallway and made more calls. Ryan heard her say, "Lawyer." He heard her say, "Trust." He heard her say, "No, this is not negotiable." Jenna hovered at the door. "I can pick up her backpack," she whispered, "and her jacket. The school office has it." Ryan nodded. "Thank you." Night fell outside, but the room stayed bright. Ryan stepped into the hallway to breathe and made it 3 steps before his legs gave out. He slid down the wall and sat on the cold tile. His hands covered his face. The sobs came silent, shaking his shoulders. "I can't lose her," he whispered. Camille's shoes approached soft on the floor. She knelt beside him and wrapped her arms around his shoulders, firm and careful. "You won't," she said. "We won't." Ryan pulled back enough to see her face. "I can't ask you to do this," he said. "You're not asking," Camille replied. "I'm telling." "This is my kid," Ryan said, voice raw. "Yes," Camille answered. "And she is my family too." Camille stood and offered him her hand. He took it and let her pull him up. A tablet was propped near Mia's bed later that night. Dr. Patel appeared on the screen, calm and direct. He explained the repair in plain language. He spoke of risks without softening them. He spoke of numbers without cruelty. Ryan asked, "How long?" "Several hours," Dr. Patel said. "We plan carefully. We take good care of her." Mia stirred and blinked awake. "Am I in trouble?" she asked. "No," Ryan said. "Your heart has a part that needs fixing." Mia frowned. "Do I have to be asleep?" "Yes," Camille said gently. "You'll take a nap, and when you wake up, we'll be right here." Mia turned toward Camille. "Will you stay with Daddy?" she asked. "So he's not alone." Camille swallowed hard. "I promise," she said. "I won't leave his side." Mia relaxed. "Good," she murmured. "He needs someone to take care of him, too." After Mia fell asleep again, Ryan and Camille stood by the window. Their reflections hovered over the dark glass. "I don't know how to do this," Ryan said, voice low. Camille's hand found his. One breath, she replied, then the next. The plan shifted. Riverbend could host the surgery with Dr. Patel flying in. Camille handled paperwork in hallways and on clipboards. She set up a trust in Mia's name, then looked Ryan in the eyes and said, "Stop worrying about money." Ryan tried to protest. Camille did not raise her voice. She did not need to. The argument ended. The day before surgery, Mia asked for colored pencils. She drew a bridge with 3 arches and a little blue crane on it. "This is the way home," she said. Camille watched, eyes soft. "That's a good bridge," she said. "It holds people," Mia replied and yawned. That night, the monitor beep stayed steady. The glitter heart sat on the windowsill, catching city light and throwing tiny specks onto the wall. "Are you scared?" Mia asked. "A little," Ryan admitted. But the doctors know what they're doing. Mia looked at Camille. Stay with him tomorrow, she said. I will, Camille replied. I promise. In the morning, the corridor filled with motion. The air smelled like metal and soap. Mia wore a tiny gown with cartoon stars. She clutched Captain and held a paper crane. For you, she told Camille, and placed it in Camille's palm. Camille closed her fingers around it carefully. I'll keep it safe, she said. Mia looked at Ryan. No crying, she ordered. Ryan laughed once broken. I'll try, he said. The transport team arrived. Mia's bed began to roll. Ryan walked beside it until the doors to the surgical wing appeared large and sealed. A nurse stopped him gently. This is where we wait, she said. Mia reached for Ryan's hand. He squeezed her fingers careful. I'll be right here, he told her. Mia nodded once. Captain's stitched eyes faced forward like he was brave for her. The doors opened. Mia's bed rolled through. Then the doors closed with a soft seal that sounded too final. Ryan stood still, hand raised as if he could hold the air in place. Camille's arm slid around his waist and held him up. In Camille's fist, Mia's crane crinkled softly. Ryan listened to the air system hiss and tried to match his breathing to its slow, steady, obedient again together. The waiting area outside the surgical wing was too bright and too cold. The chairs were vinyl that stuck to the back of Ryan's legs when he shifted. The air smelled like hand sanitizer and cafeteria fries, like two worlds colliding and neither winning. A clock hung above a muted television. The second hand moved with quiet confidence. Ryan hated it. Camille sat beside him, close enough that their shoulders touched. Her hand stayed on his forearm, not squeezing, just present. In her other hand, Mia's paper crane was cupped carefully. The blue paper softened at the edges where her fingers had held it too long. A nurse came by once and asked if they wanted water. Ryan nodded, then forgot to drink it. The cup sweated onto his palm. Hour one passed, then two. The hospital sounds became a loop, a distant cartwheel squeaking, a soft overhead page, the hiss of an automatic door. Ryan tried to count breaths. He tried to stare at the floor and not build pictures in his head. The pictures built themselves anyway. Camille did not fill the quiet with false comfort. She did not say it will be fine. She sat with him and let the fear be real without giving it the power to take over. Around the third hour, Ryan's phone buzzed. Jenna. He stepped into a side hallway and answered. Jenna. How is she? Jenna asked, her voice tight. In surgery, Ryan said. The word felt wrong in his mouth. They started a little over 2 hours ago. There was a pause, then Jenna whispered, Tell her I'm saving Captain's spot on the couch. Ryan's throat tightened. I will, he said. He ended the call and leaned his forehead against the wall for a second. The paint was cool. He stayed there until his hands stopped shaking, then returned to the waiting area. Camille looked up when he sat back down. She did not ask what the call was. She simply turned her palm upward, offering it. Ryan slid his hand into hers. How are you holding up? Camille asked quietly. Ryan stared at their linked fingers. Her ring caught the light when she moved. I don't know, he admitted. I'm trying to be steady. I'm failing. Camille's thumb moved once along his knuckle, slow and grounding. You're here, she said. That's steady. The fourth hour brought a new wave of exhaustion. Ryan's eyes burned from not blinking enough. His stomach felt hollow, but the idea of food made him nauseous. A volunteer offered coffee. Camille accepted 2 cups without asking Ryan. She placed one in his hands like an instruction. Drink, she said. Ryan sipped. It was bitter and stale. It did not matter. The warmth in his throat reminded him he was still in his body. In the 5th hour, the surgeon's assistant came out and spoke to them. The update was short and careful. Progress is as expected. No complications so far. We are still working. Ryan nodded like he understood the words. Camille asked 2 questions, both precise. The assistant answered, then disappeared behind the sealed doors again. As the 6th hour settled in, the building seemed to slow. The television loop repeated the same weather report. Outside the windows, clouds moved in gray sheets. Portland's rain returned quiet and patient. Ryan watched water streak down the glass and thought of the morning Mia first folded a crane for him. Her small hands, her sharp creases. The way she spoke with absolute certainty about luck and home. He pulled the crushed crane from his pocket. Its wing was bent. The paper softened from being handled too much. He tried to straighten it and failed. He held it anyway. Camille noticed. She gives you those, she said. Ryan nodded. It started after my wife died, he said, voice low. Mia couldn't name what she was afraid of. So, she folded something she could hold. Camille's gaze stayed on the paper. And you held it for her, she said. Ryan looked at Camille's hand around Mia's crane. Now, you are holding one too. Camille's throat moved as she swallowed. I want to be the kind of person who holds, she said, not the kind who lets go because it is inconvenient. Ryan's eyes stung. He blinked hard. You already are, he said. Hour 7 arrived with a heaviness that felt like punishment. Ryan stood and paced because sitting made him think too much. He walked to the water fountain, took a sip, walked back. The routine was pointless. It kept him from falling apart. Camille stood when he stood. She paced with him, not matching his speed, just staying near. When he stopped, she stopped. When he started again, she followed. At some point, Ryan realized he had not prayed in years. Not since the day he held his wife's hand in a hospital room and listened to machines do their indifferent work. He found himself whispering anyway, not eloquent, not brave, just a request raw and simple. Please. Camille did not comment. She just pressed her shoulder against his firm and warm. The 8th hour crawled. A nurse walked by and smiled in a way that tried to be kind but could not promise anything. Ryan watched the sealed doors. He watched them like watching could force them open in the right direction. Then the doors opened. A man in blue scrubs stepped out, cap in his hands. His mask was off. His face looked tired, but his mouth was not grim. Before he came fully into the waiting area, he paused and tapped slightly on the glass of the consul's room door bezoos them. Tap, tap, tap. The sound was small. It cut through everything. Ryan froze. Camille's fingers tightened around his hand. The surgeon stepped closer. Mr. Mercer, he said. Ryan tried to speak and failed. He managed a nod. She did beautifully, the surgeon said. Her heart is strong. The repair went as planned. Ryan's knees threatened to fold. The room tilted. Camille's arm slid around his waist and held him upright. He grabbed the back of a chair with his free hand like it was a lifeline. Can we see her? Ryan asked, and his voice cracked on the last word. In a little while, the surgeon replied, She is in recovery. She will be sleepy. There will be monitors and tubes. It looks frightening, but it is normal. We will take you back as soon as she is stable enough. Ryan nodded again hard. The surgeon continued with details, but Ryan only caught pieces. Good blood flow, good rhythm, monitoring overnight, activity restrictions for a while, follow-ups, normal life with care. Normal life. The phrase landed like warmth after a long winter. When the surgeon left, Ryan turned into Camille's shoulder and finally let the sound out. A sob that was half laugh, half collapse. Camille held him with both arms steady as a wall. She's okay, Ryan whispered. Camille's voice shook for the first time. Yes, she said, she is. They sat in the waiting area for another stretch of time, but the air had changed. The lights still hurt. The chairs were still awful. The smell was still disinfectant and fries. None of it mattered. A nurse came to escort them. Ryan's steps felt unsteady, like his legs were relearning how to work. In recovery, Mia looked smaller than ever. Her hair was tucked under a cap. Her face was pale, but her breathing was smooth. The monitor beeped steadily, a calm rhythm that made Ryan's chest ache with gratitude. Captain sat near her pillow, placed there by a nurse, or Camille, or someone who understood what mattered. Ryan stepped to the bedside and took Mia's hand, carefully mindful of the tape and the wires. Her fingers twitched around his. Mia, he whispered, I'm here. Her eyelids fluttered. She did not fully wake, but her mouth moved. A soft sound, almost a word. Camille leaned close on the other side. You did it, she whispered. You were brave. Mia's hand shifted, searching. Camille guided the blue paper crane onto Mia's palm. Mia's fingers curled around it like instinct. Ryan exhaled, slow, steady, like a quiet dragon. When Mia was moved to a room later, the hospital days blurred together. There were new routines, medication schedules, short hallway walks, meals that tasted like cardboard, nights broken into small awakenings. Camille stayed. She took calls outside the room, voice low and sharp. She signed papers. She argued with insurance without letting Ryan hear the numbers. She brought Mia colored pencils. She learned to fold paper cranes with better corners. On the 3rd day, Mia sat up and demanded pancakes. The nurse laughed and said that was a good sign. A week later, they went home. The apartment felt different, not because the furniture had moved, but because the air had changed. The fear was still there, tucked into corners, but it no longer ran the house. Mia walked slowly, holding Ryan's hand. Captain was under her other arm. She looked at Camille standing in the doorway and tilted her head. You kept your promise, Mia said. Camille crouched. I did, she replied. Mia stepped forward and hugged her, sudden and fierce. Camille froze for a heartbeat, then wrapped her arms around Mia carefully, as if she were holding something priceless. The wedding was small. Ryan did not want a crowd. Camille did not want a stage. They stood near the river under gray sky and soft rain. Mia wore a yellow coat and held a paper crane that matched the color of the water. When Camille slipped the ring back onto Ryan's finger, her hands were steady. When Ryan said his vows, his voice shook anyway. After they ate pasta at the Brick restaurant, and Mia declared herself in charge of dessert, she insisted Captain get a seat. At Cedar & Co., the gossip did not vanish. It thinned, then found new targets. The hostile takeover attempt lost oxygen as the platform plan proved itself, and Hawthorne became a real anchor instead of a slide deck promise. Still, Camille and Ryan made changes. Not dramatic, not a retreat, a structural fix like a bridge reinforced at the right joint. Ryan moved into a newly formed sister unit that reported to a different executive line, building Pulse as its own product arm. Camille stayed in the main chair. Gabe sighed with relief in meetings and stopped pacing quite so much. A year later, the house they shared smelled like paint and pencil shavings. Mia's science project covered the dining table. A model heart made of red clay sat beside a paper bridge with 3 arches. Camille held a glue bottle and tried to aim a careful line. Mia watched her hands with the same focus she used on cranes. Not too much, Mia warned. Camille lifted her brows. Yes, ma'am. Ryan stood in the doorway with his tie loosened, watching them. Mia laughed when Camille got glue on her finger. Camille laughed too, soft or real. On the refrigerator, paper cranes were pinned by magnets. Blue, yellow, white. A small fleet of folded luck. Mia looked up and caught Ryan watching. Daddy, she said, your smile is back. Ryan stepped into the room and kissed the top of her head. Yeah, he said. Camille reached for his hand without looking, her fingers laced with his natural, now-like breathing. Outside, rain ticked gently on the window. Inside, the monitor beep was gone, replaced by the small sounds of living. Scissors snipping paper, a pencil scratching a label, a child's steady laugh. And on the table, a paper crane sat with its wings lifted, corners sharp, holding its shape. Thank you so much for listening to today's story. If this story resonated with you or made you reflect, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to share them in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next story.